Hey everyone, welcome to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Now on Tuesday nights, this is our first Tuesday night edition. I'm Raj Giri, joined by Justin LaBar, and as always, Mr. Matt Morgan. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
It's a historic day. Happy to be talking to you, Raj.
So Glenn's not joining us basically once a month, every other Tuesday night. He has a prior commitment, but he will be joining us on the other Tuesdays. Tons of stuff to talk about. AEW holding their massive rally today. Tons of big news. Chris Jericho is signed. Pac, formerly known as Neville. It was just a big event. Tons of news coming out of that. But first, we'll jump right into SmackDown Live. Coincidentally, also in the same city in Jacksonville. Guys, real quick, Justin, let me go to you first for your thoughts on tonight's SmackDown Live.
Well, I thought it was a good SmackDown Live. I thought better than Raw. That seems to be kind of a regular trend overall. I mean, I'll be honest, though, and I know we'll talk about it. It's kind of like if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, if you're a wrestling fan on social media that really engages with pro wrestling, it kind of felt like, you could watch SmackDown and there were some good things that we'll talk about in SmackDown, but it still kind of felt like a little bit of an afterthought. I feel like the world is still buzzing about all the news that came out just a few hours before. And you said coincidentally, there's no coincidence. There's no freaking coincidence that the rally was down the street on the same day that SmackDown is in town. There's no coincidence there. So, but whatever anybody wants to believe, you can believe. But I'm just saying, there's no coincidence there. It was a well calculated move.
Matt, your thoughts? Matt, can you hear us? So real quick, while we're getting Matt back, Justin. So the story is that they were going to hold a rally in Jacksonville all along, and this was the earliest that they could hold it with the guys in Japan. That's their side of the story. They're saying it's a coincidence that it happened to be that day. But I agree with you. It's not. Then, if they didn't want to, they could have moved it a day or two down the road.
Right. Such a random Tuesday just comes about. These guys just have to get back on. I mean, and maybe they want to let that be the story because they don't want to worry. Maybe they don't want to. I don't know, fear of litigation. I don't even know what could be litigated. But the bottom line is, it was a well calculated move. And even if it, let's just say, even if it was a crazy ass coincidence that the day that Tony Khan owns the stadium, right? So it's not like he couldn't get the stadium any other day. Right. So, but let's just say on some wild ass coincidence, and that's what it was, a coincidence. If you're AEW, go ahead and lie to everybody and say, yeah, we purposely did it. Show them you got some aggression and that you want to go out and you're getting ready to challenge the big dogs who are right down the street. So it's coincidence.
Well, to be fair, those guys were flying in from Japan. You don't want to fly them home and then fly them back 2 days later to Jacksonville. It probably is a lot easier to just fly them straight to Jacksonville. So it's possible, but if what are they? I forget. I can't think of the saying. Yeah. All right. So hopefully we'll get Matt back here. But yeah. So SmackDown tonight. I agree with you. I had there was tons of stuff coming in. We were at the AEW rally. Nick Hausman, our managing editor, was there. Got tons of interviews with AEW president Tony Khan, which is up on the site, with the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Hangman Page, Brandy Rhodes. So we got tons of stuff from the rally that's up on the site. Check it out. We got tons of more stuff coming. So while we were working on getting a lot of that content up, SmackDown was happening. It opened up tonight. We went to SmackDown with Daniel Bryan, and I kind of missed the beginning, but he ended up backstage, was in the concession stands, was kind of ripping on fans for what they were eating. Justin, can you what else happened in this opening segment?
Yeah, he was just doing his normal Daniel Bryan shtick. I thought it was great work. I would have loved it if they would have had him walk by a fan that had AEW merchandise on and had him. He could have used that as part of his heel work. But no, it was good Daniel Bryan stuff, and then great mic work. I mean, he's just on a roll. He's having so much fun with this. You can tell. It's amazing. It's really kind of cool. I mean, we can say it with Becky Lynch. There's a couple other people we can comment on. It's really cool as a viewer when we can, when you just know, when it stands out that these guys or girls are really believing in what they're doing and having fun with what they're doing. So yeah, great stuff by Daniel Bryan. Of course, it then segues into a match with R-Truth. So, good way to start SmackDown. Exciting. Daniel Bryan again. You can't go wrong right now giving him the mic.
Right, absolutely. Matt, your thoughts on that opening segment with Daniel Bryan?
Can you hear me cleanly?
Yeah, we can hear you. Fine.
Sorry, those headphones are ruined. Phenomenal. I thought it was a ballpark. Again, night and day between this and Raw. Like, this is why I wanted to cover the show, because it's a show that I watch on my own leisure time, right? Like, I like watching it as a fan. So to get to cover it, it's like, it doesn't feel like work like the other one does.
Yeah, and I think part of it also is because it is 2 hours. This opening stuff did not go forever. Like on Raw, this would have went 45 minutes. This whole thing,
easily,
by the time they went to the match with R-Truth, this was done. Within 20 minutes. The Daniel Bryan R-Truth match did not need to go 3 segments or 15, 20 minutes. You knew who was going to win. They kept it short and sweet. And yeah, Daniel Bryan won, beat this led to the match with R-Truth. Daniel Bryan beat him clean, and it was probably like a 5-minute match, which is, I felt like, exactly what it should have been. Justin, your thought on the match?
Yeah, I echo what you have to say. I mean, it's one thing when you put a Daniel Bryan up against a surprise breakout opponent like a Mustafa Ali, and you want to try to have some falsies and if you can effectively get the audience to believe, wait, are we going to have a non-title upset, by the underdog here? But yeah, I mean, this was kind of a standard, exactly. It was a step above 1992 Superstars. It wasn't a champion versus a jobber. R-Truth is far from a jobber, but R-Truth's not winning here. So yeah, just get a few things in, just reestablish that Daniel Bryan is the champion. By hook or by crook, he's going to win. And I thought it was, a great opening segment all the way around.
Yeah. And after the match, Daniel Bryan celebrated, went towards the back, was attacked by AJ Styles. The fans popped. AJ Styles just was unloading on Daniel Bryan. Security broke it up. AJ came back, sent Daniel Bryan into the LED board, grabbed a steel chair, and Daniel Bryan retreated, and AJ Styles was standing tall to end the segment. So good little build for their match. And yeah, I thought this was the segment accomplished everything that it needed to.
AJ showing the aggression that Vince wanted to get out of him, right?
Yeah. Again, it's weird they're doing the same exact storyline with Seth Rollins, but it's working for AJ. He does seem to have a little more pep.
Unless the goal is for AJ and Seth Rollins to cross paths at like a Mania or something, unless they're purposely doing a parallel build. I'm not sure exactly what, but that's the only thing I could think, because it is interesting how similar. And Seth and AJ are like kind of like the respective workhorses on their individual brands. So it's an interesting timing as the McMahons are back, and we're now on everything merges to WrestleMania from this point on. That would be the only reason I could think.
I'll tell you why it's happening. It's happening because the way the writers work there, and the way everybody, and even I would argue Impact does this as well, is that if something works, right, that's all they talk about, patting themselves on the back the next week in the creative meeting. And from there, they start to go, it's like the golden goose theory, right? If the goose lays a golden egg, it's like, well, I want 2 eggs. Well, now I want 5 eggs. No, now I want 1,000 eggs. And they keep milking it and going until the thing is ruined and doesn't do it anymore. And this is exactly what they do. They saw something working, and like, this will work for Seth Rollins. Let's do it with him too. He's not aggressive enough. And I swear to you, it is that lazy, is what it is.
It is lazy, but man, Justin, what you said right there, it just kind of piqued my interest. If like AJ versus Rollins, I don't think that's what they're doing, but good God, that would be
that'd be an awesome matchup for sure.
Yeah,
that's not what they're doing.
But I agree. I agree with Matt. I think it's just lazy booking. They're just doing the same thing.
Sorry to get your hopes up there, Raj.
I know.
Freaking awesome match.
Yeah. Up next, we had Rey Mysterio and Mustafa Ali versus Andrade Cien Almas and Samoa Joe. Another good match. It ended with Almas pinning Rey with the hammerlock DDT. So again, a lot of WWE feuds, they start with a match and a person winning already, but we've been wanting Almas and Rey Mysterio for a while, Justin. We've talked about it before. Matt, what were your thoughts on this?
I thought this was a great not collaboration, but good mix of, I don't want to call them underneath guys, but cruiserweights, right? And whereas if this was Monday Night Raw, they would have been booked in the middle of the show in a popcorn match. The 205 Live guys generally, right? And there'd be crickets in the arena. SmackDown, they combine them with a Joe, with a Ray. You see what I'm saying? Like the mismatch, the mashing, mix matching of both was it worked. I don't know how to say it. It just worked. The formula of it worked. And great match, obviously. Great storytelling, obviously. And now I cared finally about I don't know how to say his name. Andret, how do I say it?
Almas.
Almas. I actually cared about him a little bit finally, and because I've not given a crap about him since he's been on SmackDown.
Yeah.
His manager, yes, not him.
Right. Even the manager, I feel like they haven't given her enough promo time. She's kind of been just there. And it's not like an NXT
it was me watching week to week, waiting for them to finally use her. It's like when Cena debuted on SmackDown, and I was still in OVW, and I'm going, "What the f are they doing with him? Yeah. Like, do they not know this guy's like like gold on the mic? Like, when are they gonna stop treating him like this generic dude? You know?" So I tune in, even though I was wrestling with him, but as a fan, I would continue to watch every week, hoping to see them realize what they have with him. Right? Same thing with her. You know, we know how good she is. So like, I was tuning in to watch their matches, or I fast forward to get to his stuff. Not to see him, but to see what they were going to do with her if they finally let her talk more or something, you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Justin?
Anticipation. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, this is probably match of the night. This is the match I enjoyed the most. Got a good amount of time. You know, I mean, it's just such great stuff. I mean, the fall away slam that Joe does Mustafa Ali onto the commentary table. I mean, we got a Canadian frickin' destroyer from the Mexicans. It was tremendous. Great match, really great match. The whole thing was fun to watch.
What happens if you're a wrestler and you can't take that? I always wondered that. The Canadian destroyer, like, I can't do a backflip with some dude on my back. How would I take it?
You're the wrestler. You answer that, man.
No way.
You just don't do it, right? You just
sorry, Petey Williams. It looks like you ain't doing it.
You turn that into a backdrop. Yeah,
I have to imagine Canadian destroyer is not one of those things you call it in the ring. I gotta think you give common courtesy. You give your opponent, hey, you mind taking that when we go out there?
Supposing I'm working Petey Williams, and they're like, oh, Petey's got to hit his finish. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? We can't take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it. And that's with being my size. So,
well, sure. Matt, isn't it kind of like maybe to a lesser degree taking the Styles Clash, taking the Styles Clash and the whole thing about, you know, because correct me if I'm wrong, the Styles Clash, you know, your wrestlers are so used to tucking your chin, but with the Styles Clash, you don't want to tuck your chin. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
So I maybe it's the same kind of thing. It's kind of like a little bit of a mind trip of how do you take this?
No, you have to do like a shoot back. Like, think about it. You got to do like a flip. What happens if I can't do a flip or to do it on my shoulders like that? Like, if you watch the slow-mo, that's what the guy's doing.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. The only thing with this match, I feel like Ali, he came in, he had a lot of steam going. It feels like it's cooling down quick. You know, why not have him beat some enhancement talent? You know, maybe not put him in this match.
Being mixed in this, really? You didn't think it made him look like it didn't elevate him?
I think the fact that he's, you know, the last couple of weeks he's been in the mix and he's not getting a win. I feel like he needs to get a couple wins while he's got that momentum going. I mean, he just pinned Daniel Bryan a few weeks ago, and then I feel like that's kind of been, you know, it's kind of dissipated. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with him and Daniel Bryan, if that's still the plan for one of the B pay-per-views between Rumble and Mania. But
I can't believe it. Like, if you like that, they would steal a pay-per-view main event with that.
Well, I think it would be middle of the card. Like, the Raw main event would probably, you know, go on last.
Like,
but,
seriously.
Yeah.
No offense to the guy, you know, but
no, I know he's not main event ready right now. But you know, for an undercard match on a show, you know, if they need Daniel Bryan, someone for him to beat on the way to WrestleMania, you got a built-in storyline.
Yeah.
So after the match, Almas and Vega celebrated with Almas and Joe. We had a backstage promo, Carmella talking about how no one thought she was going to beat Charlotte. You know, no one thought she would win the title. She held it for 130 days, beat Charlotte and Asuka twice, won Money in the Bank. It's kind of crazy to think she did all that, you know.
It is. It like really is.
Yeah. Next, we had a Shane McMahon Miz segment. Miz... what happened? I actually missed this. Justin, do you remember what happened in this segment? It was
the Miz came in. He was mad at Shane because we found out the Bar is going to take on the Usos, and I believe Miz came in and said, "Oh, this must have been your dad or somebody who made this match because you know you and I should be fighting for tag titles." did more of the whole, hey, have you thought about the outfits thing? This did more of the Miz shtick, and then Shane kind of basically just took a phone call and walked off type of thing.
Yeah.
Their stuff is good though, guys. You got to admit, it's entertaining.
I agree. I think I'd like to see more of this, like people with chemistry doing more backstage stuff. That's not too long. It just enhances their characters and moves the show along.
And it's entertaining. I'm legit entertained by it. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And Miz is great at stuff like that. I think almost anyone he's paired with, it's usually entertaining.
So good. God, he's good.
All right. So next we had a Rusev promo. He came out looking like someone stole his milk money, looking really sad. Said that Lana was at home resting after what happened last week. And then he basically called out Nakamura. Nakamura appeared on the big screen. He was in the production truck. He didn't take any blame. Basically blamed Lana's bump on Rusev. Rusev went around, paced around the ring, and then threatened to get to Nakamura in the back. Went to the back. Camera cut backstage where Rusev is looking for the TV truck. And then Nakamura attacked him with the production case and basically beat down Rusev as officials came and tried to break them away. I'm glad that they're giving both these guys something. They've kind of been in the background for a long time. I do feel like both of these guys aren't near as over as they were 6 months ago. I wish they would have pulled that trigger a lot earlier. But at least they're doing something with him, and for the first time since AJ Styles, really, Nakamura's got a real storyline. Matt, I'll go to you first here.
Is there something wrong with me that I think it's weird that Nakamura was in the production truck? Like I know Nakamura, I just can't picture him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's hanging out in the production truck and being this mastermind and this
making faces.
Yeah, I just don't. Come on, no, he ain't doing that. Dude's he's in the locker room, minding his own business, being quiet as quiet could be, in his locker, minding his own P's and Q's, waiting for his stuff to come up. That's it. That's what you're getting out of him. What I mean? Not mastermind Joker who's like going up against Batman and like doing all these great dastardly, setting these bear traps and stuff. It's ridiculous.
That would be great if that's his gimmick now. He's setting up little traps backstage, bear traps, and someone getting their foot caught in a rope and swinging up.
He's just dastardly, yeah.
Justin.
So you're trying to book him as like Kevin McAllister Home Alone, where he's just dumping water and freezing it. Rusev slips on the ice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I like the attempt at least trying to have some heat in this. I'm kind of. It's all about the booking and presentation. I've kind of checked out, unfortunately, of a lot of Nakamura's stuff. Again, nothing to do with his work in the ring, but it's just been a very, very, very uninspiring run since he came up from NXT. And again, that's not really a fault of his in terms of the work. It's just what he's been given. So, but I'm a big Rusev fan. It's kind of they've kind of done it before, but hey, people are behind him and Lana. People are behind Lana, so you might as well use her to help keep the heat there. I don't expect Rusev to drop the title, but again, glad they're at least trying to put some effort into something consistent with him and Nakamura until the payoff, which I guess would be Rumble.
Really quick, because you sound like you're finished your sentence, and I keep trying to sound like I'm cutting you off, and I'm not. Sorry. Let me ask you a question, though, really quick. Do you think the reaction he's getting, is it still, do you think that's a legit reaction, or is it a haha, we're all in on it, Rusev Day chants that we like to do?
Probably a little bit of both. I think it's part of it's wrestling karaoke. People just want to say it because they know that's what they're supposed to say. But I do think people genuinely
care.
Well, the more they've let him talk, like he does have like an unnatural little bit of like, he's got a funny little bit of humor about himself. How handsome and fit he talks about himself. I think right. Lana's drop dead gorgeous, so people kind of gravitate with that. So I think there's still some organic interest in them. But yeah, I do think there is a portion of it that's wrestling karaoke where it's just, hey, we're supposed to say Rusev Day.
Yeah, I think like it's almost like you could do a 205 Live test. If you don't watch 205 Live and if you're at a SmackDown taping, would you stick around for 205 Live if you knew that Rusev was in the main event? Like just for Rusev. That's like a true wrestler game. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a big star, you'll stick around if it's someone you legitimately care about. I don't think most fans would stick around for Rusev.
Well, I'll say this. I know that the SmackDown that aired, what was it, last week on New Year's Day? That was one. I was at that one that they taped it a few days earlier here in Pittsburgh. So I know whenever you have a tape show, there's always going to be post-production, edited sound or whatever. But I can tell you from being there ringside that when Rusev and Lana came out, legitimately it was behind Cena, behind Becky Lynch, was probably the third biggest pop. So take that for what you want.
But that was also his first episode since winning the U.S. title, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, anyway, 205 live test. So next we had a backstage Becky Lynch interview. She talked about how no one can beat her for the title. She'll do whatever it takes to win tonight. I thought Becky was good here. I think Becky at times, I know I'm in the minority here, but Becky at times, she overdoes it a little bit. Like last week with John Cena when she says she's going to floor John Cena if she gets in her way. It's kind of like if TJP was talking smack to Brock Lesnar. It's like it's a little too much at that point. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's just me.
I mean, I don't know.
I think she's in ballpark and everything.
Yeah, honestly. I don't know. I really can't nitpick on her.
Yeah. But she's done a fantastic job. But the Cena stuff kind of annoyed me. But anyway.
Yeah.
So we went to the Bar versus the Usos. Non-title match. The Usos win. They get a title shot. The end of the match, Mandy Rose's music came out, and she came out in a towel and slippers. She took the mic and asked Jimmy to come help her. Jimmy ignored her, and then she asked if she left her shorts and top in his hotel room. Sheamus ran in, dropped Jimmy from the apron. Cesaro hit the neutralizer on Jay for the pin and got the win. A little more risque than most WWE stuff lately. What'd you guys think?
Wasn't as risque.
Well, just they usually don't do like the sexual innuendo as much as they used to. Like, that she's teasing that they had a rendezvous at the hotel before.
I feel like they're going a little overboard in the last year or two. Maybe it's because it's fueled because they have so many reality shows. But I feel like they're rehashing a little bit. I feel like they're what's the word I'm trying to, exploiting the fact that they have so many relationships that they acknowledge. The fact that there are so many wrestlers on screen that are either dating or married. You think about the stuff they did with Lana, and they've had Lana with Rusev and Lana. Lana was having a love triangle at one point with, what was it, Ziggler, and then she lured Enzo into the hotel room, and then it was Aiden English, and then we've had, and then we have the stuff here with Naomi and Mandy Rose, and I feel like they've done. I feel like they're maybe back to what Matt said earlier. They're patting themselves on the back too much about saying, "Oh, let's hint that this person's having an affair, and that'll be good Jerry Springer drama." I think that they're going back to it one too many times.
Yeah, there are times when I wish they didn't acknowledge some of these couples. Like Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, I feel like that often leads to distracting stuff. Mandy Rose, I will say this. If there's one woman on the roster that that 15 years ago Vince McMahon would have had a backstage segment with himself making out with someone, Mandy Rose would be the one.
Yes.
Matt,
I like how Matt just goes, yes.
No doubt. Matt, your thoughts on this segment?
Good action, good match. I hate to put, guys that I know are really good down, but I'm not entertained with the Bar.
I agree 100%. I don't know if they've just been together too long.
Maybe that's what it is. I keep looking at Sheamus and going, he's a former world champion. They don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, he just needs to be presented as a bigger deal, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know. And then Cesaro never got to reach the heights that we all hoped he would as a singles act. Mm-hmm. And now that they seem to be taking all these chances and risks on these call-ups, from a year or two ago, I don't think he necessarily got his fair shot, per se. And I think they need to give him another shot at it. You know what I mean? They got to get them both off TV and go back as singles.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like the Bar, the New Day, the Usos, anytime you put that combination together. You know it's going to be a great match, but it's just feel like I've seen it forever. I've seen it for years.
Redundant.
Yeah. So anyways, after the match, the Miz came out as the Bar was celebrating. The Miz gave them he congratulated them for beating all the teams on SmackDown and said that there was one team that they hadn't beaten, and he offered the Bar an opportunity of a lifetime to put the titles on the line at the Royal Rumble against himself and Shane McMahon. Cesaro said he was going to talk over it with Sheamus, and Sheamus responded with a big brogue kick to drop the Miz. And then Cesaro said that they accept the challenge. So even though it's official a little bit later on, that's where they're headed. Shane and the Miz versus Cesaro and Sheamus. So I think they could do some champs. Yeah, and they could do some entertaining stuff between the four of them. So at least it gives the Bar something new.
It gives the tag division a little shot in the arm because Miz and Shane are winning those titles. I guarantee it.
Yeah, unless the only reason I would think that they wouldn't is if they're setting up Shane versus the Miz at Mania, and one of them turns on the other.
Or why can't they do that later?
They could, but this is where you start building your big angles. But I mean, yeah, they could wait a month or two, but have them win it and then lose it.
They got to do more together to make us care that they're against each other first. In my opinion.
Yeah, but I do think, I think that they're headed to them facing off, because I think if it was them winning the tag titles, that was the big moment. They would save that for Mania. So I don't know. I mean, just them defending the tag titles at Mania doesn't seem like as big a deal.
No,
right?
They'll be broken up going into Mania. That's going to be the catalyst. They lose the tag titles, and now they break up, and then they go against each other at Mania.
Yeah,
With a couple weeks left. I know you're saying that there's just a build from now to Mania, but there's also those I don't want to say last minute angles, but there's those storylines that peak and hit their arc peak and crescendo like weeks out from Mania, and it usually comes at the hands of a tag team that just broke up and one of them go against each other. But I don't know.
Yeah, and that is a good point, because WWE doesn't really do the build as often now, months out. Because remember when Brett and Owen, before they wrestled at Mania, their split came at the Royal Rumble. But it's a different time.
Yes.
So next up, we saw Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville backstage walking. Mandy revealed that her shorts and top were under the towel and laughed. Naomi appeared, attacked Rose, and unloaded on her. Deville and Rose then double teamed her. Jimmy Uso ran up, told them to back off, and checked on Naomi as Rose and Deville took off. So
this was done well. Nice little touch by the camera. Just panned over, and you can catch it if you go back and watch it. Naomi, while in stride, walking, pulling her shoes off and tossing her shoes, getting ready to throw down and beat down Mandy Rose. So it was a nice girl I'm about to beat your ass moment. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, and like I've said before, I do like that they're doing a woman's storyline that's not centered around the title, like something that's underneath, and it's a singles feud as opposed to the multi-woman feud that they always do.
Yes.
After that, we had the announce Kayla Braxton approaching Daniel Bryan backstage as he was leaving the arena. Bryan ranted on AJ Styles, says he doesn't care why AJ attacked him. And it's not as vicious as, what AJ did is not as vicious as what he's going to do. And he said that AJ will see what he's capable of doing at the Royal Rumble. He said AJ will never take the WWE title from him because he's fighting for a cause that's bigger than anything that AJ has ever fought for, and that he will be the WWE champion forever. I still personally think that Daniel Bryan's the best promo on SmackDown. I thought this was just great stuff with Daniel.
It was. Home run.
Justin?
Yeah, I mean, as I said when we talked to the open of SmackDown, you really can't go wrong with him. He's just having so much fun. You can tell that he's grabbing onto this character, which is an extension of himself. Obviously, it's really very much exaggerated to a point, but and we know some about Daniel Bryan and his love for the environment and his lifestyle, so it's believable. It's not like we're trying to not like they're trying to make us believe something that's hard to grasp. So it's just working. It's just he's for as good of a very few people can be as good of a babyface as he is and the sympathy that he can garner, but he can also equally be just as good as a bad guy. That's much. It's easier said than done, for sure.
Right. And finally, we had the number one contenders match: Becky Lynch versus Carmella versus Charlotte Flair. It was kind of weird that they announced Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the Royal Rumble a few weeks ago, then took it back, and then that's ultimately the way they were headed anyway.
Yes.
Becky Lynch won this match, putting the disarmor on Carmella, forcing her to tap out. A pretty long match. I thought it was really good. Personally, for me, this was the best thing on the show. I thought it was awesome. Guys, your thoughts?
This is my match of the night with Joe's tag match, close second. Great match. Again, another home run segment, right? All the story, everything within that match, all the inner stories and dealings got progressed. The only thing is, like you said, I don't understand what the point of that was, though. To announce that Royal Rumble match, take it back, and still go back to it. What did I miss?
Yeah, so when they originally took it back, I thought maybe they thought creatively that, hey, what's the finish going to be? You don't want Becky losing to Asuka, right? So unless they do a schmaz, a DQ, or something, I mean, they could have Becky win it. But if the match is Becky versus Ronda or Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte, and maybe that still is. Who knows? Maybe Ronda loses, which I wouldn't do. But Ronda loses and goes after SmackDown's title. I don't know.
No. I'm saying they had her as the number one contender, right, going into the Royal Rumble. But then you said they pulled it, and then they made them have a three-way to decide who the number one contender would be, and then she still wins anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's what they ended up doing.
So I'm saying I don't understand is why they did that. So with what you said, I still don't get why.
Yeah, so I'm saying maybe once they announced the match, they decided that, well, what are we going to do at the Rumble? We're probably going to have to beat Becky. And so they changed their mind, and now they figured something else out creatively and changed it again. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah.
It was a fake out because everything you guys are saying. When I'm going into this match, then I'm like, all right, well, Becky's not going to win because they wouldn't have canceled. And then I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I could see. But I mean, then I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think the predetermined WrestleMania destination is Ronda versus Becky versus Charlotte. So I figure Charlotte's not going to win. So I figured, okay, somehow Becky and Charlotte are going to cancel each other out tonight. Carmella gets a win.
Yes.
Carmella's easy fodder for Asuka. And so I mean, they totally faked me out because then Becky won. I'm like, well, what the hell?
That's the exact formula I swear to you I had.
Yep. Same here. I expected Carmella to win. It gives Asuka a clean win, and you don't beat Becky or Charlotte.
Yes.
So all in all, easy to watch episode, I thought. It flowed. Good episode. Guys, your thoughts?
Raw. Do you think Raw could do the same thing? Do you think it would be that big of a difference if they went to 2 hours?
I think so. Yeah. I think if you cut down that 3-hour show into 2, oh man, it'd be so much easier to watch.
Because this just is smooth is the right word. It flows. Everything was fun to watch.
Yeah. All right, so on to the other news. Real quick, Raw ratings. It was 2.3 something this week. So it was down about 20% from the first Raw of 2018, which was on a New Year's Day. So a pretty big drop from last year. It was up against a big football game, so it was last year. So yeah, year to year, the Raw ratings are dropping. We'll see. Hopefully next week there's a bigger bump, but year to year we're seeing that drop. And today, finally, seeing like there's a real alternative entering the business. AEW held their big rally in Jacksonville, Florida. Cody Rhodes, the Bucks, Hangman Page, all at the rally. Pac, Neville, in his wrestling gear, appeared on stage. Hangman Page was out there talking about how he wants to become the first AEW champion. Pac came out, challenged him, saying he's going to be the first AEW champion. They announced Double or Nothing for May 25th in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. As far as big developments, I think those were the biggest outside of Chris Jericho revealing that he has signed with All Elite Wrestling, and he officially signed his contract after the rally. They did a video, and that's up on Wrestling Inc. Guys, what are your thoughts? It looks like the first event that they're going to hold is not until May. The Young Bucks, we have videos from the scrums afterwards on our Facebook and YouTube. They did say that their goal is to start doing live events. Obviously, they talked about the importance of a TV deal. Cody Rhodes saying it's not the end all be all, but it is massively important, hinting that it's going to come sooner than later. Justin, let me go to you first. Your thoughts on today.
Well, and also, as you're listing names, don't forget that another piece of news that might be going to the radar is Billy Gunn has been signed on as their first producer.
Right.
So
yeah, he's the only producer announced so far.
Right. You can't say it yet. I can't say it until their distribution, their TV deal, whatever is announced. But once it is, and if it's, it's very possible that I will be able to say here soon that this is has the potential to be the most legitimate competition in WWE since WCW in its peak. And you can talk about TNA and Impact over the years. You can talk about Ring of Honor, but I think even more so, first off, the funds and careful planning that's going into this, it seems, and also just the timing. Maybe now more than ever, there's just a true thirst for more, and the way the business is. So I mean, if they have a distribution deal, I do think they need to be on TV. I know this generation will say, oh, they can just go to Netflix or can just go to Twitch or whatever. All those platforms are good, and I don't discourage them if they do strike some type of subscription or digital platform. But even though it's 2019, and even though people are cutting the cord, as we say, being on television is still important. It's important to advertisers. There's still some people that are still making the big money decisions for sponsorship are still older people who still value TV. So, I think it is imperative that they are on the channel guide, on a channel that's in a majority of homes, not some obscure channel that nobody knows where it is. I think that is important. And I think if they can have a distribution deal that has TV included, they have a weekly show, I mean, this has got a lot of potential to be, a true serious, maybe I should even say just threat, but a true serious alternative in the United States for wrestling on television.
Yeah, to your point about the TV deal, I think people that just think streaming, it is one thing if you're doing a deal with like a Netflix who's paying big money, for their TV shows, but what we've seen
for the missed advertising.
But you look at WWE with the Mixed Match Challenge, right? They're doing 2 million plus on a Tuesday night with SmackDown, and then you go to Facebook for Mixed Match Challenge, and you're doing about some weeks they were doing like 10,000-15,000 watching live.
But I would argue they're using they're using the wrong social media platform. Only old people use Facebook now.
Yeah, but I still don't think that, regardless of what you pick, you look at YouTube with the kickoff shows, they're doing 30,000-40,000 viewers, whereas an episode of Raw is doing 2.5 million. So you're talking a big disparity between streaming, online social media platforms, right, and watching on TV. That still is, people are cord cutting. The number of subscribers is going down, but that still is the primary way that people watch sports.
What does that mean, cord cutting?
When you cut cable and you just go to Amazon Fires and all that stuff. Yeah.
Except I don't know if that necessarily counts. Like, does YouTube TV and Sling count? Because you're still watching. It's basically cable, but through the internet. So you're watching the stations live. You're still paying a monthly fee, but you don't have a cable box. You don't have a satellite dish.
Right.
But it's still, you're still watching the shows live. You're not watching it,
watch it on my phone.
Well, and that's what it comes down to. Is you talk about live, is that, Netflix obviously is amazing. Is wildly successful. I mean, look at how much success, Bird Box or Making a Murder or all these Netflix things. But it's things that you can watch at your own leisure. The thing about pro wrestling and it being week to week is there's a destination to it. So there needs to be that live you must see, and you get that when it's live on a channel guide. When it's something that you can watch whenever on a Netflix or whatever, it kind of takes that immediacy. It kind of takes that urgency, that importance of you got to watch it tonight. You don't want to wait till tomorrow. You got to watch it tonight. So yeah, it goes back. I think they will. I think they even recognize that they are going to have some TV deal. I know there's rumors out there of who they've been talking to. So I think they need to have a weekly TV deal, and they can also have some other digital platform on the side or as a bonus or extra content. But yeah, TV is a must, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me ask you a question then. What so then what's all the big? I watched today's press conference and I'm excited for my buddies. Right, they're doing great, doing huge things, own their own company. I mean, they're producer of executive vice presidents.
Yeah, executive vice
The
president.
three of them, right?
So
But
apparently Tony Khan, they said that they're 100% owners, the Khan family.
Okay, so let me ask. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question then. What is it then? What's the draw? Like to come watch us live? Like come watch a house show? Come watch or a pay-per-view, whatever you want to call the shows they're doing. They're just not televised?
So it seems like so from all accounts, from what they were talking about at the press conference afterwards at the scrums, the first thing that they're going to do is this Double or Nothing event in May. And there's going to be no events or anything before that. And after that is when the wheels are going to start getting put in motion on a weekly TV show and live event touring.
So why not do the announcement closer to that then?
Well, I think they need to start getting because the amount of time I guess it takes to get the roster together. They're starting slow, and by that they're first looking at their first event, and then while putting together the other pieces. Now, to your point, Matt, if they're looking at a TV deal, well, I guess TV stations do that all the time, where they pick something up for the fall, and they'll say, this fall we got this coming up. So I don't think if they do get a TV deal, we're not going to see anything until at least the fall.
Wow, I just great all in all is a great presser. There's some stuff like the there's some things that were not great, right? The pyro and the fireworks and the smoke that kept getting, in my opinion, in the vision of your view at home watching it of who was on stage. Jericho was like the only one who did it properly, who waited for all the smoke to clear before he could finally see him and then talk, I don't know. I thought it was a really cool deal, though, overall. What was annoying as well, though, was you couldn't hear the fans' reaction.
Yeah.
When the guys were talking or when they come out and they were doing stuff that was so predicated on a fan reaction, and we didn't get to hear the fans' reaction. Because in my head, they're going, when Pac came out, I'm like, oh my God, they must have lost their shit right now. And I'm like, I want to hear that though.
Right. It was just
couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it was really
of it. It like shut off their volume somehow.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I thought that it was badly mic'd. The crowd, it seemed like wasn't mic'd at all. Like
well, and they were what they were doing was they didn't want the music to be picked up ambiently, so they were playing the music as the main track. Right. They fed the music in. Right. Yeah. So they rather than hearing the music just ambiently from the speakers there, they fed it in, which then obviously that canceled out the track of the fans making noise.
The fans, which suck because they did so many things that the fans were popping for, and I wanted to hear that because I wanted WWE to hear that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we're all emotionally invested in this. Every wrestling fan should be.
Yeah.
And not to be jerks at WWE, but you know who said it the best? I think it was not Brandy. What was the other girl? Dr. Britt Baker.
Britt Baker. Yeah.
Yeah, she said it best, and it's a great point she made. Honestly, was that at the end of the day, this is going to push the business forward as a whole. Meaning, we're not saying we're holier than thou, but we're saying we're innovative enough that other companies, knock knock, WWE, are going to have to start no longer phoning it in and staying in neutral certain weeks on Monday Night Raw and with your talent roster, with your tag division, sometimes with your girls division even, because we're going to be pushing the pace, and it's going to make everybody that's in the wrestling business get better.
Yeah,
is a good point. She's right. And
again, we were talking about TV. Matt, we had mentioned this last night. They trademarked Tuesday Night Dynamite. They didn't trademark Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. So
I like that name.
Yeah, I think it sounds good. But it seems clear that they're looking at Tuesday nights. And if that's the case, I don't see any way that they're going to do it while SmackDown's on Tuesday nights, which means that there would not be a weekly TV show until October.
Yes.
So we're still talking a ways down. But still.
Which again begs the question, why not wait until you get closer to that. I don't know. Shut up.
Yeah, and I mean, signing.
Think about the new stars they can have by then, Raj. They might have Goldberg by then. They might have all these other big-time names by then. And they keep it under wraps. Even more bigger surprises. I'll be honest, Jericho was cool seeing there, right? But it didn't seem far-fetched for me to be part of that.
Right.
There wasn't, for me, there was no humongous surprise. I kept waiting for Kenny Omega to walk out.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something big.
And Omega, so it seems like he's going to be signing here. He's just under contract in New Japan through the end of the month, and then he's going to go over. So that's why he wasn't there.
He'll go to AEW. He won't go to WWE.
Yeah, all signs are pointing to him going with AEW. I mean, to your point, Matt, pretty much almost everyone here tonight was at All In. So it wasn't, like Jericho. It was great seeing him there. He's a huge star, but it was for the most part outside of Pac. Right. Yeah. It wasn't outside the realm of a gigantic surprise that he was there.
No, not at all. But it's a good ornament for that company. It's Chris freaking Jericho.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal. But again, yeah, like you said, it wasn't like, oh my God, Chris Jericho would be part of this. That wasn't far-fetched for me.
Right.
Well, and something interesting with Jericho, I tweeted this earlier. Jericho's obviously he's been doing stuff in New Japan for the past year. And even throughout that whole time, still on the current WWE Superstars roster page on WWE.com, they still had Jericho there. Now that's not that unusual to think about Jericho, them still keeping him there, because they'd still let him pop up on the anniversary show. He was at Wrestle Kingdom, started January of 2018, and then 3 weeks later he showed up at Raw 25. I was at Raw 25, and so it was kind of cool. He was on New Japan. 3 weeks later he shows up on Raw. So he always pops up. So it wasn't that big of a thing to me as a whole year as I kept watching Jericho still be on WWE's website. And I just looked a few days ago for something separate, and I noticed Jericho was still there. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Well, as of this evening, Chris Jericho is no longer on WWE's website.
He wasn't?
He's not. They took him down.
Well, the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, reported this evening that Jericho was actually talking to WWE as recently as 2 weeks ago. So this deal with AEW, I guess it was, kind of not last minute, but it definitely wasn't a sure thing for all this time. So
I'm sure it was a card he could play in his back pocket this whole time.
Right.
But probably went to WWE to see what he can get. Was there anything that would interest him?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not for money at this point, right? He's right. It's things that keep him interested in being innovative and keep doing new things. And they probably didn't give him anything. He's like, okay, I can't pass that up. So, all right, all in.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all hoping the best. This is, if you're a WWE fan, the best thing that could happen is AEW is successful and gets WWE, off their ass. Because even, SmackDown, it's an easy to watch show, but it's not like edge of your seat. I can't wait till next week. What's going to happen? Like, how are they going to follow up on this? And, there's not really tension or suspense. It's kind of like a fun show, but not gripping, I guess.
Let me ask you a question. Hangman Page as their world champion, does that do anything? Does that do anything for you?
I think Hangman Page to me is someone that WWE, it looks like the kind of guy they'd want. He's got size, he's got the look.
I guarantee he'll be there one day. Yes.
Yeah, it seems early for that.
But this is good for him.
But it's good, yeah. Sometimes that's how you make new stars. You just got to throw them up there and see if it works out. And Pac's got that name, he's got that credibility. So I think fans will buy into it. I'm sure that's your main event at Double or Nothing.
He looks so jacked.
He does.
That little mother effer is so ripped. He looked great.
Yeah.
Justin, your thoughts on Hangman?
Yeah, I don't think he's the first All Elite World Champion. I don't even know if I'll put it this way. I don't think that they have yet announced. I don't think they've yet announced the person on the roster who will be their first All Elite World Champion. But you're right though. He's a guy I do think, like Matt, you just said, I could definitely see him getting a run in WWE before his career is over.
Yeah.
So what do you think it is? Because it's going to be those two going for the title in the first show.
unless it's a 3-way with Omega.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of time. I don't think. And I agree. Omega's going to AEW. I don't think he's going to WWE. I think there's the show's not till May 25th. Show's not till May 25th, and there's guys that they can sign still. There's guys who are in WWE whose contracts are expiring between now and then. I'm just saying, between now and May 25th, it's 5 months. Is a lot of time. So things can
Cody doesn't book himself in it and get the title.
If Cody is the first champion, it's TNA. But here's hoping the best for him. I'm excited. Obviously, we have a lot of time before their first event, so I'm guessing some of this hype is going to die down a little bit.
Weren't you there?
Our managing editor, Nick Hausman's there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, again, with the TV deal, I think a good TV deal would be something like a Paramount TV, almost similar to what TNA had, where they're averaging 500,000 viewers a week. So you don't have to do an insane amount of viewers to be considered success. TBS, TNT, those kind of stations, they do 1.3, 1.4 million. That's tough to do. TNA rarely did that with Hogan and Nash and Hall and all these guys. So, and Kurt Angle. So
in 2008, we never dipped below 1.0.
Yeah. No. TNA. I mean, you guys were averaging over 1 million viewers a week, and
I'm saying before Hogan, by the way.
Yeah.
Before Hogan.
Yeah, and well, the very first Impact on Spike did like 850,000 viewers, or 860. People crap on TNA a lot, but they forget it. They've done more viewers per week since WCW folded than any other promotion in the U.S.
Yes.
So
people also crap on Russo, but I think when Russo was in TNA, it was some of the better stuff. I'm just saying that. I know it's not always a popular opinion.
No, it's the truth. There's truth to that. Yeah.
Hey, people crap on Russo, but the hottest that WWE was when he was the head writer. So, anyway,
by the way, I don't think Vince Russo will be a head writer of AEW. Just want to go on record and say that.
The fact that they wouldn't allow him at All In. So
yeah, I just want to go on record and make that prediction. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, but here's hoping the best for him. The only thing I didn't like about the press conference, I thought MJF came across, and I think he's got tons of potential. He came across very indie, and Joey Janela did too. Penelope Ford looked like a star. I just think MJF, he's got the tools, he's got the look. He just needs to work on his delivery. It came across as very like the kind of promo I'd cut if I was in high school and we were playing pro wrestling in the backyard.
He's very confident, though, man. What he has is half the battle, which is he believes in himself. You can already see that.
That's
which is good. But you're right. What they wore as well, I thought was pretty terrific. But maybe we're just saying that because they are independent wrestlers that aren't popular yet. To me, they're not. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I dug his promo though. I really did. I thought it was pretty good. Thought he was over the top a little bit too much on what's his name on
Conrad
Thompson.
Like it was overkill, way too much.
Yeah.
But it made me uncomfortable, not in a good way, not in I hate you kind of way. And all right, dude, we get it. These are easy layups. Stop.
Right. Yeah, I think he's got tons of star potential with this look, poise, and everything. He just needs to work on what he says because it came across as a very stereotypical heel. Like if you were writing a bad guy wrestler for a movie, a comedy, that's what you would do.
A good old 80s, he wanted that. But here's the thing: is it felt to me with his material, he tried to take 10 pounds of shit and put it in a 5-pound bag.
Right.
Like he did a lot of stuff, a lot of shtick, a lot of it though.
Yeah.
Like his reactions where they start chanting asshole, everything. He didn't let a second go by where he wasn't a little bit too gimmicky.
And I think that's probably what hurt him too. What we talked about earlier, the crowd. You could not hear the crowd while he's doing it, so it sounded like he was getting no reaction, even though I'm sure he was.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, a huge day. It was one of the busiest days I can remember. One of the busiest Tuesdays I can remember in a long time. Matt, you got anything to plug before we head out?
I do not. My battery's getting low. How about that? Nope,
all right, perfect timing. Justin, what about yourself?
You can follow me on social media at Justin LaBar. Thursday morning at 7 a.m., my Wrestling Reality podcast. drops on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to get your podcast. So in addition to seeing me here on Wrestling Inc., you can download that as well.
Yeah, there's no podcast tomorrow, but the Weekly is back Thursday at noon. Tons of stuff on our YouTube, our Facebook, on the website. Tons of news. The Tony Khan, the Bucks, Cody talking about health insurance for AEW talent. If that's coming, if that's a possibility. Possible TV deals. Nothing.
Is that up now?
Yeah, it's up now. Basically, they're saying executives will have health insurance. They're going to take care of the wrestlers, but more or less, wrestlers are not going to have health insurance right now. They will get taken care of if they're hurt in the ring. Tony Khan telling Wrestling Inc. That they're not looking to work the wrestlers to the bone. They don't want them to have these crazy rough schedules that they're accustomed to right now. So one of the biggest problems I've seen with wrestling has always been the schedule and how hard that is. And it seems like AEW is getting rid of that evil. So I think that's a huge improvement.
Okay, but then how the guy's going to get paid? See what I'm saying? It's a double-edged sword, because then they're not going to get paid enough to just singularly wrestle for AEW, which is going to encourage them to go make money elsewhere, which by proxy will get them injured. Unless,
because right now WWE isn't making money on live events. They lost money last quarter. Their money is coming from TV and pay-per-view to network. So if they can make enough money through those avenues, through if they get a TV deal and then obviously they're going to be investing, it's going to be deficit spending for a while for AEW. They're not going to be making a profit for a while. But they got a billionaire backing them. If they're willing to spend enough that they could pay these guys a lot of money, or at least comparable to WWE. What's that?
So the Joey Janela's will be paid enough money to just wrestle for AEW and not have to go work elsewhere. Is what you're saying?
No, I think I saw. I think with Janela, I think I saw in Nick's coverage at Janela that maybe it was Cody that said that Janela's still gonna actually get to do other stuff. So it doesn't sound like he's exclusively to AEW.
Right.
Which means he's not being paid enough.
Right. Well, he's probably getting paid what he would in WWE. Those guys, that level of guys don't get paid a lot in NXT either. So if he's making a comparable amount and he's willing, he can work a certain amount of indie dates. It's still a
better.
There's a fine line in between this, because there's one way it's nice that AEW wants to try to not have these guys on the road as much as they would be in WWE, but also
not spend as much money.
Well, think about what we're saying. Give these guys enough money that they can live happily, but they don't have to work a whole lot of dates. That sounds like some of the death stuff in WCW. We're going to give this guy a really big contract, but he only has to work X amount of dates. So right. they need to find the middle ground.
Yeah, and they have time to figure that out. But yeah. So all that stuff. So check it out. Tons of stuff on Wrestling. Thank you so much, everyone. Tuesday nights, every Tuesday after SmackDown, and thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.